Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Tuesday, September 9th. It is 6:18 right now. We got market opening up in about 12 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and mark up liquidity and market structure here. And then we'll get started with our analysis for today. So start off with the daily time frame right here. Dropping down to the 8 hour. Dropping down to the 4 hour. Dropping down to the 2 hour. Dropping down to the 1 hour. Dropping down to the 30 minute. 15 minute, 10 minute, and back down to the 1 minute here. All right, and it looks like we are good to go. So good morning, everybody, guys. Looks like people are still making their way in. So today is Tuesday, April, or sorry, why I say April? Today's Tuesday, September 9th. It is 6:20 right now. We got market opening up in about 10 minutes. So I've marked up liquidity over here, guys. We are ready to start analyzing the market for the day. Let me go ahead and start marking up market structure. So we have, let's see, we got a resistance up here from this higher high. So we got a resistance right there. We got a, so this was like a resistance turn support down here. And then we have a support level from this lower low. All right, looks good. So there goes market structure. We have a couple areas of, I guess, imbalances right here. They're not very strong, but there are levels of imbalance. I'll mark them up later. They're just not really necessary right now. So I'll come back and take a look at that as, we progress with the market. But this is kind of the market structure that I see right now as of this very moment. Looking at our overall bias for today. So looking down at our market structure, it's currently, for the most part, bullish. The 1 minute's currently neutral, 5 minutes bullish, 15 minutes bearish, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, all bullish. Looking over here at the overall trend. The 1 minute's bearish, 5 minutes bearish, 15 minutes neutral, 30 minute is bullish, 1 hour is bullish, 4 hour is bullish. So the higher time frames over here are bullish. The lower time frames here are bearish neutral. So with that being said, I mean, this can easily shift back up, right? This can be a temporary shift to the downside and a shift right back up. So market structure is bullish. Overall trend is bullish on the higher time frames. It is bearish neutral on the lower time frames. Looking over here at my daily outlook for the day, overall market bias is bullish bias with medium conviction. Both fundamentals and technicals are leaning bullish, but conviction is capped by today's jobs revisions risk. So at 7 o'clock today, we have a NFP revision. Again, I haven't seen this news event come up. I don't think I've ever seen this news event come up where there's a revision with NFP data. But we'll kind of see how that affects the market. With that being said, our alignment score is 7 out of 10. The agreement is that fundamentals are point to risk on, with Fed cut expectations happening next week. The obvious stocks over here, UNH, Microsoft, NVDA, strength, weaker USD, and technicals confirm bullish structure above pivot with strong higher time frame uptrend. The main conflict here is that the fundamentals warned of jobs revision shock. Like I said, I've never seen this news event come up, so it's kind of unusual for it to come up like that, where there's a revision from NFP last week. The NFP was really, really bad last week. So if you guys remember, it was super, super off. I think it was forecasted to be, let me see. Yeah, like I don't know. It was forecast. The forecast was like super, super off. But here, let's go to Friday real quick. Yeah, so the NFP data, it was forecasted to be 75,000. It was 22,000. So it was down. They were off by like 53,000. So they're doing a revision today, guys. I don't know. It's a revision. So I've never seen the revision happen like that. I guess the numbers are super, super off that they had to make a revision. Um, But yeah, today is non-farm payrolls annual revision at 7 o'clock. Maybe it happens every year, but I just never really notice it. So we'll see how that happens. It's gonna happen right here at 7 o'clock. So I think what might happen here is you might get a downwards move initially, and the news may come out and it might spike price right back up. But I mean, who knows, right? We don't really know what's gonna happen here. Like I said, this type of news event doesn't come up very often, if ever. So we'll see. But our overall outlook is pretty bullish. So if you guys are looking to take any trades on open, like say, any of the breakouts, momentum breakout orb, I think the buys here would be ideal. They don't have to be buys, but the buys here are ideal. That's kind of where I'm going to be looking. So, all right, guys, looks like majority of you guys are here so far. So good morning, everybody. Let's see who's here. Morning, Lila. Morning, Karen. Morning, Ben. Morning, everybody. Again, today is Tuesday, September 9th. It is 6:25 right now. We got market opening up in about 5 minutes. As you can see from the chart, guys, I've marked up liquidity over here. Closest level of liquidity above is at 45,590. Closest level of liquidity below is at 45,562. We have a news event right here at 7 o'clock. It's a high impact news event, revision to NFP from last week. That's pretty much the only main news event for today. This week, we have some more big news events. Tomorrow, we have PPI, Producer Price Index on Wednesday. Thursday, we have CPI, Consumer Price Index. These are the biggest days of the week. And then Friday, we have Michigan consumer sentiment. So we have back-to-back inflation day news events coming out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So as you guys can see from yesterday, market was pretty choppy. Today, market is still a little bit choppy, not as choppy as yesterday, but we'll kind of see what happens here when the market actually opens up. 6:25 right now, so we got 5 minutes till open. If you guys are just joining in, my overall bias for today is for the most part bullish at the moment. Market structure over here is pretty bullish. You can see over here down at the bottom, my market structure is bullish on the 1 minute, 5 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. The overall trend over here was bullish on the higher time frames, 30 minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour prices above the pivots. The trend meter is green, pivots are angling up, and on the lower time frames over here, it's bearish neutral. So with that being said, it is bearish neutral, but it can easily shift up to bullish once market opens up. So if you guys are looking to take any breakouts for the day, I would ideally look for some buys. The thing that you want to be careful for is that we have a high impact news event here at 7 o'clock that doesn't happen very often, or if ever. So what might happen here is price may manipulate to the downside a little bit. I mean, it's already dropped already, so I'm expecting a correction at some point, right? That's why I'm saying, like, if you're gonna look for any breakouts here, look for buys because price here is dumping a little bit and it's likely to push right back up. Or it might even go sideways. It might even drop even further here for a little bit until the news event happens and then correction back up. Because the thing is, so the NFP data was super off. It was off by 53,000. It was forecasted to be like in the 75,000 range and it came down to 22,000. So they're doing a revision today at 7 o'clock. And I can only expect it to be positive, right? Unless there's a crazy surprise and it's worse than what was reported, I'm expecting it to be bullish here. So. Yeah, you might get some manipulation to the downside, and then eventually price is going to skyrocket up around 7 o'clock. That's what the consensus is. But I mean, who knows, right? What kind of nobody knows with this kind of market that we're in, where it's very news driven. We'll just have to wait and see. So, all right, guys, we got market opening up shortly. I'll know the direction of the momentum breakout in about 3 minutes. Again, today is Tuesday, September 9th. We got market opening up shortly. We have a we have an imbalance right here for a buy, or not a buy, but a bullish imbalance right here. This is going to be useful because when market opens up, this imbalance is going to be very key to see if price is going to manipulate down and skyrocket right back up, right? We got market opening up in 2 minutes. This imbalance is going to be very key right here. See how price is cutting into the imbalance? If we get a nice rejection right there, this could be a good confluence to the upside. This could be that temporary manipulation and continuation to the upside from there. All right, we got price cutting into this imbalance, like I said. Let's see if it mitigates it. I don't think it will. I think it's going to bounce off here, but I mean, who knows, right? This might break and close below it. If it does, it's going to mitigate this imbalance, and it might just sit down here until market opens up. All right, so there we go. Mitigated that imbalance, guys. So this imbalance is done with. Price created the imbalance right here as this big green candle came up, and then it came right back down to invalidate it. So no imbalance right there. We now actually have an imbalance in the opposite direction. Maybe. It's pending right now, but quite possibly another imbalance to the downside. So it's just a back and forth, as you guys can see. A balance to the upside, a balance to the downside. Personally, I'd rather have price kind of dump down a little bit because when it opens up, I'm looking for it to shoot right back up, right? So if you guys are looking to take the momentum breakout, guys, momentum breakout for today is going to be a buy. So yeah, if you guys are looking to take the buy today, look for the buy for the momentum breakout. I'm also going to be looking for the buy here for the orb entry. Yeah, we'll see. Price is kind of consolidating down here at the moment. So you guys, what market opening up right here? It's probably going to bounce off these levels. So here we go at the market open. So I'm not taking anything here yet, but I'm looking for price to swing back up. Like I said earlier, price is probably going to manipulate down. It's doing exactly what I talked about here pre-market, and I'm expecting a correction back up. We have a big news event here at 7 o'clock. The news event is forecasted to be positive because of what happened last Friday. Very, very, very negative with NFP. And here we go at the correction back up as we speak. So momentum breakout is currently running in profit right now. I'll be following it right here as price continues to, move along, of course. But I'm expecting it here to push up. So we'll follow it through. There's the momentum breakout on its way up. If you guys want to move your stop loss and profit as it climbs up, feel free to do that. I will be looking for the possible orb here. This price continues to move along. So we got the orb low right there. We got price pushing up higher. Looks like the breakout's about to hit its target or it's on its way up. It's having trouble getting past the sessions right there. There you go. Looks like the momentum breakout is on its way to its target for full TP, almost at that 50 points. Yeah, it looks like it hit right there. Momentum breakout, full TP right there, 50 points. I'm watching it as it pushes up higher here as we speak. Did exactly what I talked about pre-market. See the manipulation to the downside, correction right back up. I was really tempted to get into the momentum breakout here, guys. I was going to get into it, but I'm kind of on this orb cycle right now, so I'm following the orb here as we speak. So the orb high right here looks like it's going to be at 45,614. Okay, so I'll be looking for a possible orb entry over here for a buy, of course. I'm hoping we get some direction because I don't want to be in this choppy market, of course. Orb high is going to be at 45,614. 45,614. The orb low is going to be right here at 45,533. I'm not really looking for sells today, guys, because we do have an overall market structure bias for a buy, overall trend bias over here for a buy as well in the higher time frames. And my daily outlook is bullish as well. So the momentum breakout, guys, right here, full TP for 50 points. If you guys caught that, it did exactly what I mentioned pre-market. I said look for the possible fake out to the downside and correction right back up. We have a high impact news event right here at 7 o'clock. It's going to come out in about 18 minutes. 18 minutes, we got the big news event coming up. Looks like we have sweeps on both sides here. So if you guys saw the sweep down here, sweep from this lower liquidity, and then also a sweep from this upper liquidity right here. So we got sweeps both ways right there. Pretty much a sweep back and forth. All right, so I'll continue following right here. You can see price is kind of consolidating down the middle right now around this middle area where the sessions are at. The orb hasn't came up yet. Orb high is going to be at 45,614. I'll be looking for price to break and close past that structure. I'll be watching price action to make sure that it actually, holds above that area. Other than that, I'll be following through to see if there's any opportunities here to the upside. So the orb high over here is going to be aligned with the high-low break and retest off this higher high. So it's basically two entries in one right there. So price breaks past this higher high and retest. That's a high-low break and retest. And then also if price breaks and closes past that level as well, it's going to be the orb for a buy. So it's a nice confluence right there. What I was hoping to see right here is a possible, imbalance created right here, but there's no imbalance right now. Price is just going back and forth. We have a resistance that's starting to kind of produce right here. Um, I mean, it hasn't really produced yet, but I'll just mark it up right now just in case it establishes. I'll come back and take a look at it a little later. This looks like it could be a possible resistance zone. You can see price is trying to get past this area, but it's having trouble right here. It pushes up, fakes out, comes right back down. So possible resistance zone right there. Hasn't really established yet though. Nice. Jonathan said beautiful analysis. Sean Jonathan got that momentum breakout arc as well. He said win 2 days in a row, baby. Breakout. Yeah, nice work, Arik. You've been killing it with those breakouts. So solid work right there. And great consistency following that through. So guys, we got price pushing up right here. Again, I'm looking for that orb high. That orb high is going to line up with a momentum breakout. We got 20 seconds left on this candle right here. I don't want the candle to be too big though, right? I don't want this to like skyrocket up because if it comes way too high, it's going to retrace down a little bit before it pushes up. So I'd like to have a consistent push up, climb, climb, break, continuation. Ideally, that's the kind of move I want. The moves that I don't want to see is I don't want price to push up, bounce, 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 right? Because that's going to establish this as a resistance. I also don't want price to just blow up right here, come down, and then shoot right back up because our stop loss is really tight. Ideally, I want a more natural, smooth push to the upside, right? Push, push, break, continuation. Right here, you can see price is not really doing much. It's just consolidating right here down the middle, which is fine. This is the market we saw yesterday. It was the market we saw yesterday. It's the market we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks. A lot of choppiness here. NFP week was pretty choppy. This is inflation week. Again, I mentioned this yesterday and the week before that this week may be choppy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is the big days. Tomorrow we have PPI, which is producer price index. Thursday we have CPI, which is consumer price index. And then Friday's Michigan consumer sentiment. So those are when the big news events come out over here. Today we have non-farm payroll annual revision, which is going to happen at 7 o'clock. So in a few minutes here, it'll happen. It's not a normal news event. So we don't really have revisions for NFP, at least not that I've noticed. And I trade every day. So I've actually never seen that news event before. The thing is that the NFP was super, super off last Friday. It was forecasted to be in the 79,000 range. It was like 22,000. So, obviously they're going to be doing a revision. The revision can't be worse, right? If it's down 22,000 or they've only included 22,000, it's got to be a revision to the upside, right? Because the jobs data can't be that bad. Like we're not in a recession, people are still hiring. I know obviously economy's not the best, but it's not, we're not a failing economy, of course. So I think the revision is going to be for the good. And that's why I think price here is kind of sitting around for a bit because a lot of people are forecasting that to be positive. So the news event's happening right here at 7 o'clock. I'm really curious what's to come up from it, but I mean, who knows? It's forecast to be negative 818, but I don't think it's going to be negative. I think it's actually going to be positive. All right, we got price pushing up right here. We got about 30 seconds left on this candle. Again, I'm looking for price to break past the orb high, clean break and close, retest, continuation up higher. However, I don't want a huge candle here. I want a nice candle, but not a huge, huge candle there. Because if it's too big, it's going to have to retrace, right? And we don't want a big retracement because my stop loss here is pretty tight. All right, 13 seconds left on this candle right here. Does not look like we're going to get a break here on this candle. Look for the next one. All right, so no break there yet. Again, still following this here, looking for price to break above, retest, continuation of higher. Getting closer. Again, I'm going to watch the price action here. I don't want to see a rejection off this level. I want it to be a pretty nice break, retest, continuation. I don't want to see this come up, test it, retrace, test it, retrace, test it. Because if this establishes as a resistance, it's not going to be a strong level for us to be trading off, right? Again, like I said, I think price here it might stay sideways for a bit because we do have the news event here at 7 o'clock, which is normal. There's no surprise there. Typically, stuff like that does happen. If we have a big news event coming, price might just go sideways here for an extended period. I'm hoping we get the entry before news though, because the last thing I want to do is hold on to a position into that high impact news event, right? If that's the case, then I probably won't even take an entry here. I'll probably just wait. It's not really worth the risk. All right, let me clean up the charts here a little bit. There we go. Clean it up a bit there. All right, price is back in the middle of the range here. So if you guys are looking to take the orb sell here, I mean, you guys are more than welcome to take the orb sell. I'm not going to take the orb sell. My overall bias right now is still pretty bullish. So looking over here at my market structure, it's currently bearish on the 1 minute, it's bullish on the 5, neutral on the 15, 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, all bullish. Looking over here at my daily market outlook, it is overall market bias bullish with medium conviction, 7 out of 10 alignment score. So I'm not really looking for sells here. If anything, price may fake out right here and then pull back into the range. I might even be okay with taking a late entry for the orb. So say for example, we get a sell orb here and it fakes out and then it pulls back up. I might be okay with taking a late orb here to the upside because I'm expecting a fake out down here. Looks like market here is starting to kind of just it's trying to lure in sellers. What I can see right here, because you can see prices currently in a downtrend, but overall market structure and bias is bullish. I see this as a temporary dip to the downside to lure in sellers, and then when news happens at 7 o'clock right here, I'm looking for them to get stopped out. I'm looking for a big spike up to pretty much wipe out all the sellers, right? So that's why I'm kind of okay with waiting for this here to possibly dip even lower and have the orb sell come up, but look for a later correction to the upside. But we'll see. The orb still hasn't came up yet, guys. If you guys have noticed, the orb has been coming up a lot later these past couple of weeks, right? The orb usually comes up right away, like immediately on open, but lately it's been coming up pretty late, like around this time, 6:40, 6:45, 6:50, like closer to 7 o'clock where the volatility actually is supposed to die down. And here we go as price continues to range within the middle area. So looking at this right now, yeah, looking at this right now, we have price sitting down the middle. You got the higher high, the lower low right there. We got the higher low right here. We got price kind of going back and forth. We got the news event right here at 7 o'clock, 6:42 right now. So we got the news event coming up in about 18 minutes. It's the NFP annual revision. If you guys are just joining in, there was only one entry that came out today. It was the momentum breakout, full TP right here for 50 points. A lot of people right there caught it. So nice work on catching that, guys. We got some team profits right here. Jonathan locked in 750 off that momentum breakout. So nice work, Jonathan. And Ark as well caught that trade. So solid work, guys. I was really tempted to hop into that one, but I was more tempted. I was more waiting for the orb here, but the orb hasn't came up yet. Again, this is going to be an orb sell, guys. If you guys are looking to take it, I'm not really looking to take sells here. So if you guys want to take this orb sell, I mean, feel free. I would say be careful and be cautious with this entry here because I'm looking for a fake out to the downside. But if you guys feel comfortable taking the sell, I mean, feel free. It's got a break and close past this orb low. It's broken past it, but it hasn't closed below it yet. So this candle's got about 20 seconds left on it. You're going to be looking for price to break and close below this orb low. Look for it to retest this the orb low and then continuation to the downside. I'm not going to take this sell here because my overall bias is bullish. Obviously I don't go against my bias. So if you guys want to take this here, feel free. I'll follow it for you guys. No fill there yet, so no close. Again, this is just a little retest of, or a little test of the low and rejection off it. Again, you're looking for price to break and close below it, retest and continue down lower. You need it to actually close below the orb low before you take the entry. So we will continue to wait here. Again, if you guys are looking for sells, feel free. Don't let my analysis stop you from taking sells. But for my bias right now, my bias is still very bullish. So I'm not looking to take any sells here. I'm looking for the manipulation to the downside, and I'll look for the correction right back up. I might even be okay with taking a late orb today. Usually I don't ever take a second orb, but if we do get a correction back up and it's nice and bullish, then I'll let this kind of slide and I'll look for price to push back up. We have another sweep right here. It looks like price swept off this lower low. I'd base your sweep off the ATR. So there we go. There's my orb, right? Or not more orb. There was my liquidity sweep off this lower low. So we had the level marked up right here. Price swept that level and it shot right back up. So if you guys are taking these sweeps, there's been a lot of sweeps here back and forth, right? Sweep from the bottom, sweep from the top, sweep again from the bottom here. I would base your TP and stop loss off the ATR. The ATR was about 23 at the time. So that right there would have hit for 23 points. So now at 25, price is dumping below. Again, if you guys are looking to take the orb sell here, the orb sell is starting to set up. You got 20 seconds left on this candle if you want to take this. The orb lows at 45,533. This candle is huge, so I'm expecting a big retracement from here. Probably gonna trace up, come right back down. So there goes the orb sell if anybody's looking to take that. If I get a shift in market trend and market structure, then maybe I'll start looking for some sells. But right now I'm still looking for buys. So look at the retracement right there. This candle's pretty big, so I'm expecting it to retrace possibly to the orb low right there. If you guys want to take this as an orb sell, your limit order would be right there at 45,533. Again, I don't trade against my bias, so I'm not looking to take the sell here. But if you guys are looking to take it, setup is now setting up. So here we go again, just being patient as usual. If market doesn't give me what I'm looking for, I'm not going to force anything here, of course. We do have a couple imbalances. So we have an imbalance, which is right here, small imbalance. And I believe we have another imbalance down below. So imbalance right there, and then imbalance right here off the current candle. We'll see. All right, so price is retesting the imbalance. It's retracing up just like I mentioned. So there we go with the orb high or the orb sell. The orb sell is filled. I'm not in the sell position here. Like I said, guys, my bias is bullish, so I'm not really looking to take the sell here. This imbalance looks like it's invalidated, so no longer there. We still have this upper imbalance though over here. All right, so there goes the orb sell, guys. Currently running right now in profit. Again, I'm not in the orb sell right now because my bias is bullish, so I'm not really looking to take sells at this moment. If you guys do want to take it, I'm following it for you guys there. I'm looking for price to possibly swing back up, and I'll look for a later orb to the upside. Doesn't have to happen right now. It could happen in the next, 20 minutes or so. We got news happening at 7 o'clock. So, like I said, price is pretty much doing what we were expecting, right? I mentioned price is going to fake out to the downside, and it's going to push right back up for a correction because I'm expecting the news here to be positive. So I'm not in this orb sell, guys. I'm gonna take this off because I don't want you guys to think I'm in the position. I'm looking for price to swing back up. So I'm expecting the fake out here. So hopefully you guys can take that orb sell, right? My analysis here played out. This is exactly what I was worried about. I said this is probably going to push down, fake out, and it's going to start to climb back up as we get closer to news. Because the news here is for like, there's no way this news could be negative. I mean, I don't want to say no way, right? We can't guarantee anything, but there's no, in my opinion, I don't think that the news will be negative. The NFP data was so negative last Friday. It was off by 53,000. So with it being off by that much, if they're doing a revision today, it's got to be positive. There's no way because it's like, the economy here isn't that bad. It's, we're not in a recession. We're not in like some black swan event where nobody's hiring and everybody's getting laid off. It's not the case here. So I'm expecting the numbers here to be positive. So looking back at our main chart here, like I said, I mentioned this right before market opened up. It was like around this area pre-market. I said price is probably going to fake out down here, lure in some sellers. And then when news starts to come out, it's going to come right back up and stop everybody out. So I would expect this whole gap right here to get filled, right? So basically price to shoot right back up to this area up here. At some point, it doesn't have to happen right now, but it's going to happen at some point. I'm going to see price, start to establish some sort of support level or some floor and then push all the way back up. We have an imbalance right here that's currently active. Price broke and retest off the imbalance. So this big green candle right here is the imbalance. There we go. All right, so if I zoom in a little bit, it's a little messy. Let me clean this up. Okay, cleaned up as much as I can right there. So we're currently at opening price right now. Price has pushed above. The imbalance was between this doji candle and this green candle right here. So this big green candle was the imbalance push, and price has broken, retested off that imbalance. So price created the imbalance here, retested, and now it's pushing back up higher. So we'll see. We got the imbalance right here. We have a previous support right here. I'm gonna leave that previous support now, just for the moment. If I do need to make some adjustments, I will, of course. Price is currently cutting back into the imbalance. And we will see where that is. Let's see. Adam said if you check back 2, 3 months, there's a lot of fake out because now Orb is hyped. Yeah, I mean, like we've talked about this in the past. I've been trading for so long. The strategies don't always work forever. That's why like you have to understand to have filters and confluences, right? That's why I'm not taking a lot of the orbs. If you look at my stats for the year, I've taken majority of the orbs, but I haven't taken, I mean, I've taken majority orbs for the year, but I haven't taken all of them, right? Like for August over here, there's a lot of days where I just didn't take any trades when the orb either lost or I just decided not to take it, right? Because just like what Adam said, a lot of strategies, once they get hyped, it's the same with like any other strategy, right? Fair value gaps, inverted fair value gaps, like there's always some sort of hype that goes around certain strategies and then they stop working, right? But they end up working again at some point in the future. So for me right now, the momentum breakout has been like on fire, right? Previously, the momentum breakout wasn't on fire all the time. It would come up every so often, but it wasn't always like on fire. Right now, it's been super on fire. The momentum breakout's been hitting pretty much every day for the past not every day, but it's been hitting pretty often for the past couple months. So this would probably be the better option for the breakout at the moment. The orb over here obviously is not because, like Adam said, it's a little overhyped. That's why for me, I have a small adjustment to the regular orb, right? A lot of people trade the 5-minute orb, the 15-minute orb, the 30-minute orb, the 1 hour orb. I trade the 2-minute orb, which isn't highly, it's not highly applied. A lot of people don't like trading on the lower time frames or the 2-minute orb because it just happens so quickly. So yes, I agree. The strategies sometimes are seasonal or they do have their phases. The thing is the market's been choppy lately. So like you also have to understand market structure, right? Market's been choppy for the past couple months. That's no surprise. The orb is a directional strategy. Breakouts are directional strategies. So if the market here is moving directional, then there's not going to be a good orb or a good breakout to take. Same with my high-low break and retest. We haven't had any high-low break and retest like even come up at all because price has been pretty choppy lately. So you just got to stick to your trading plan, right? For the most part. Um, For the most part, the yeah, if you understand market structure, you'll know what type of strategy to apply. You'll know exactly which strategy to apply. That's why for me, I've been kind of sitting out on a lot of these entries because the market structure just isn't directional. Right here, it looks like it's directional, right? It looks like price is obviously in a bearish trend, but I wouldn't say this is directional because price isn't. When I say directional, I look at something like this, right? Nice continuation to the downside. This here is coming down, but it's not very clean, right? So price here will come down and it'll spike right back up and it'll come down and it'll spike right back up and it'll come down and it'll go sideways for a bit before it spikes right back up. So although if you look at this from from a bigger scale, yes, price is trending down, but I would not say that it is a directional, like a smooth directional push to the downside. So I'm still not looking for sales here at the moment, guys. I think at this point we might have to wait until a news event here at 7 o'clock because this is going to push price up. But right now it's just I think this is going to stay in limbo. It's probably going to sit right here at the imbalance, and then eventually it's going to shoot right back up once the news event comes. All right, if this is the case and it mitigates the imbalance, that is perfectly fine. The imbalance is still there, but if it does close below this point, it's going to mitigate it, and then we will wipe this out and look for a continuation. Or a new imbalance. A new imbalance may be established. There actually is a new imbalance here. So if this candle here closes, there's an imbalance to the downside right here. Okay, so this has been mitigated. We now have an imbalance right here to the downside. There's two imbalances actually. There's one from up here, and there's another one that's starting to set up below it. So again, I don't use imbalances as a strategy. I use it as a confluence. So like right here, as you can see, there's a lot of imbalances coming up. There's an imbalance right here, imbalance right there. If you guys want to see imbalances directly on your chart, you can use my liquidity indicator. So there we go. We already have the imbalances marked up, but it's kind of messy, so I don't leave it on. I just mark the imbalances myself. I just do it by hand. Let's see. Smith said I probably shouldn't do this, but based on everything you were saying, I went long at 648 and got 40 points. I mean, 646 exit was 648. Nice. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So Smith over here looks like he got in at 651. Nice, nice. Yeah, you got the correction back up, right? It's good that you pulled out because, like I said, you know, the analysis here is playing out, but you got to know when to pull out. And then I'm glad you did because you got a quick 40 points right there. So great work right there, catching that, just, taking your trades based off my analysis. Obviously for me, I'm not taking those types of trades because they're a little too risky for me. But I'm glad that you caught that right there for a correction. Again, I'm still looking for a big correction here. It's 656 right now, so we got the news coming up in about 4 minutes or less than 4 minutes right here. I'm expecting a big correction right back up. My target area here, if the correction does happen, is going to be up here. So I'm probably going to see a big bullish push here to wipe out the sellers and right back up to here to fill this big drop. Let's look on the higher time frames real quick. So let's see. The 30 minutes actually a good time frame here to see, right? See how price dumped right here on this big red candle? I'm looking for it to push right back up to balance out right here. But I mean, who knows? Like I said, we don't know what's going to happen with the news. You can't really predict it. You can assume where price is going to be, but doing a full-on prediction, very unlikely. My assumption is that price is going to correct back up because I'm expecting the news here to be positive. So it looks like price here is just, it's screwing around down this area. Like I said, it's just consolidating and ranging between this area until the news happens, and it'll probably shoot right back up. The problem here is that a lot of people are expecting price to push back up. So I think price might even drop a little bit. Depending on what the news is, I would say, so look at the news over here. So the news here is forecasted to be negative. I would say wait for the news event to come out and wait for people to react to it, and then look for those people to get stopped out. Right. So I think a lot of people here are they're betting on the news event right here. It's coming up in about a minute. So I'd say wait for the market reaction to the news and then look for the market correction. because I think the initial reaction is going to be a fake out. I think it's going to be a lot of manipulation because everybody's waiting for this here. This is the only big news event for today. So, think about all of the degenerate traders out there looking to make a quick buck off this news event. I'm expecting this to be manipulated. So look for the manipulation and then look for the correction after, which is fine because, none of my entries here are really going to be coming up anytime soon. There he goes. Price pushes up like we anticipated. But, don't get caught in this trap here. All right, we have another imbalance down here. It's now a buy imbalance. There we go. All right, guys, news events coming up in about a minute right here at 7 o'clock. Looks like price here might just flatten out and then expect a big volatility spike on this next candle. Expect a big candle. I mean, if anything, if price comes down, it might sweep this area and come right back up. Who knows, right? Who knows? Hey, what's up, Sam? All right, guys, we got market over here. Market news in 20 seconds. A lot of choppiness. Price still has not pushed up to this upper range. I'm still waiting for this late orb here to play out. I'm okay with waiting for it. Or if there tends to be a shift, then I'll look for a high-low break and retest to the upside as well. All right, guys, news event right here. And here goes a news candle. So it is initially pushing up right now. Let's see what the news was. Hasn't updated yet. Again, I would be careful chasing the buys here, guys. Don't chase it yet. Damn, look at that big bullish push. That's exactly what I was expecting. I was tempted to just trade the news, right? Get into it right there and ride this wave up, but it's doing exactly what I said was going to happen, right? I said price was going to come back up to this area right here. And what happened? It did exactly that. Price came down, lured in the sellers, faked out, pushed right back up to right. I literally had this marked up. I said this area right here is where price is going to push to, and that's where it went to. But again, I'm not a gambler, so I wasn't looking to get into this here. I wasn't even expecting this to push up like that. I was expecting this to maybe come down a little bit first and then push right back up. And look at that huge, huge wick. And it's coming right back down. Messy, messy move right there. This is what I mean about news price, right? It doesn't matter if price pushes up or pushes down. You want to see how market reacts to it. So let's see. Damn, this thing was super, super negative. So the revision here was actually worse. It was forecasted to be negative 818. It was negative 911. That is that's a big surprise there. Personally, I think that's a pretty big surprise. So I would be surprised if this thing here pushes back up. I mean, it could easily push back up. I don't see this not pushing back up. Um, but yes, the news aware was pretty negative. I'm surprised. It's a big surprise there. Let's check Forex Factory. I'm sure the numbers are the same. See, the weird thing is that Forex Factory didn't even have it on the list today. I don't know. Very unusual, but yeah, the news there was very, very negative. All right, so you can see here that price pushed up. Again, I'm still looking for buys here. I don't care if the news is negative or positive. I'm still looking for buys here. I don't trade based off the news, so I'll be looking for that orb high to get corrected to. So I'm looking for price to still push up right here and push above this orb high. But yeah, huge, huge wick right there. It did pretty much what everybody was expecting, right? Bullish push. But yeah, I don't know how the market's going to react to this in general. So see how price is trying to push up. These candles are pushing up very strong. It's pushing up, then it gets spiked right back down. Right here, pushed up, spiked down. Same with this one, pushed up, and then it spikes right back down off this imbalance. This imbalance was set up a long time ago, right here at 638. We have another imbalance right here. We have a new support down here at this lower low. All right, so here we are as market is starting to react to the news. We're starting to get a lot of volatility right here. Again, don't get caught in this trap, guys. I'm looking for price to break above here. So whatever happens down here, it can keep bouncing around. But I'm looking for price to push above this area and provide me an orb buy for my entry. Or if we don't, look, I'm looking for a possible high-low break and retest to the upside. So I'm in no rush here to get into anything. Just hanging out, waiting for confirmation. You really don't want to trade in this middle area anyways. It's just a big range. Nice. So Lila said you were on it, boss. I caught it. Nice work, Lila. Lila caught that big push to the upside. Elad said master in action. Yeah, definitely, Elad. So we'll see. Again, I'm looking for entries here. If you guys want to take risky entries, you can take trades based off my analysis, right? If I show you something is going to happen and you think, it aligns with your strategy or whatever thought process you guys have, feel free to hop into it. For me, I'm very conservative. So like in the past, yeah, I would have probably taken the trade here because I had liked to trade news in the past, but yeah, I'm at a point where I like consistency, right? I like consistency. I like the low hanging fruit, the trade that I know for sure going to hit. Right here, I had an inkling that this was going to happen, but I wasn't for sure. So that's why I decided not to hop into something like that. But I am still looking for the orb here because I do like how price is pushing up. And if it does correct back to this area, it's going to break out of this middle range. And I'm looking for a continuation up higher. So. And this all comes from experience, right? A lot of people always ask me, like, how are you able to identify that? How are you able to know that this is going to happen? This all comes from experience, right? I'm not a fortune teller. Like, literally, this stuff is because I've seen this happen so many times that I'm able to, I don't want to say predict, but I'm able to anticipate certain things to happen based off news. But I'm still shocked. Like, I'm shocked the news here was negative. So I'm looking to see what the real market reaction is going to be. Market reaction might not happen right now or today. It might happen like days later, right? Because we do have CPI happening, or we have PPI tomorrow, CPI Thursday, and then we have Michigan consumer sentiment on Friday. So I think the market's going to have a late reaction to that news event, depending on what the inflation news is on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The market's going to react to it very strongly because the news was negative. So we'll see if the further news later this week is also going to be negative, and that's going to affect the market, of course. So we got market structure over here. I'm looking at the market profile. We haven't really looked at this in a while, guys, but the market profile here is still very valid and very useful. This is the value high. This is the value low. Price is kind of just ranging between the market profile right now. This is on the higher time frame. So if you look at price right now, it's actually discounted. So we're currently at a discount right now. I'm expecting price to push back up and balance within this area over here where the point of control is at. So this right here is a discounted price. This means that price is, this asset is cheap right now. So I'm looking for it to actually close above this area and sit in the middle right here. If and when we get that, then we will be looking for a continuation to the upside. But right now, we just don't have that, right? You guys can see the market structure. Price is having trouble getting past this area. And again, this whole middle area, this is a no-go zone for me. I'm just being patient, waiting for price to push above. I haven't taken any trades this week yet so far, guys. I've been sitting on my hands. The momentum breakout is starting to tempt me, though. It's really starting to tempt me because the orb here hasn't really been coming up as much. But I'm going to stick to my trading plan right now. I'm going to stick to the orb for the moment, and eventually I'll be looking for opportunities for entry. Nice. So Sam over here hit gold trailing 110 pips. Nice work, Sam, catching that. All right, so we got price again breaking below the orb low. I would be careful with this here because I think this is market reaction. So the market is now finally reacting to the news event, right? News event was negative, so there was no reason for price to really push up. I don't know if there's any. Yeah, there's not really much here. So, looking over here at the analysis for the United States non-farm payrolls annual revision says a higher than expected figure should be seen as positive, which is what we were expecting. Lower than expected figure should be seen as negative. So it was lower. Forecast to be 818, negative 818. It was negative 911, which I think is crazy. So for the year so far, we have way less jobs that are available. Um, this isn't good, right? This isn't good for the economy because if there's less jobs available and inflation goes up and interest rates cut, like that's just it's stirring up for really bad, you know, economics there for the US. Because if there's no jobs available, plus inflation is up, everything gets more expensive, plus we cut the rates next month, that's a recipe for a recession, right? Jobs market's not great, inflation is going up. So we'll see if inflation cools this week and it shows that inflation is actually not going higher, then that could be a balance. But yeah, if the jobs data is negative, plus the inflation news is negative, plus next week we have an interest rate cut, the dollar becomes cheaper. Yeah, expect a lot of volatility and turmoil in the market. Because the thing is, like, that's what Powell is trying to avoid, right? If you guys have been following Jerome Powell, Trump is trying to fire Jerome Powell, but if he fires Jerome Powell and puts someone in there that's kind of, not good for the economy, then we can go in a pretty fast downward spiral if they cut interest rates too quickly. So a lot of people are talking about like maybe two or three cuts this year. I'm thinking just one cut, maybe one cut next month or October, and then that's going to be it. They can't put too many cuts out there because it's just gonna put the market into a downward spiral. If you guys are not familiar with fundamentals, it's completely fine. I'm not either. I've just been following the news for quite some time now. I've been kind of getting better at managing and understanding fundamentals, so it's been kind of useful for us here, of course. All right, so price came down right here. It retested the imbalance, and now it's pushing right back up. This is a nice confluence right here. So this confluence right here is indicating that, buys here could probably push up higher. There's a possible high-low break and retest off this level, but it's right at the session, so I'm gonna hold off on that. But my orb here is starting to possibly set up as well. I don't want it to break on this candle though. See, this candle is way too big. Maybe on the next one, but not on this one. This is a 40-point candle. All right, so we got this huge range right here. Huge, huge range back and forth, back and forth. Again, I'm looking for price to actually push past this area and provide an area here for orb high. This is a high-low break and retest right here if anybody's looking to take that. I was a little tempted to get into this one right here, but it was right at the session, so it kind of threw me off a little bit. So yeah, there's a high-low break and retest right there off this lower high. There's a lot of good bullish confluences here. We had the imbalance confluence, and then we have a possible high-low break and retest right here, or orb high. Look, if price pulls back down to this area, I might be tempted to get into this one a little late. This is at 45,597. All right, we have the orb high right here.
Order submitted.
Let's see if I can get that retest. So I'm going to try to get into the orb right here, guys.
Submitted.
This orb also lines up with the high-low break and retest over here off this higher high. See if it fills right there. All right, so it filled right there. I'm in the position now for the orb
Order
buy,
filled.
and then also the high-low break and retest off this higher high right here. So I'm currently in profit right now, about $300. See where the 30 points is at. 30 points is right here. This is a little tricky because price is a little overextended, but I will follow through with it here and we'll see how this ends up playing. So if price reaches a 30 right there, my stop loss is going to get moved in profit to the 10 points. Let's see if this here can hold above. Ideally, we want it to see it hold above this area. Let me look at the market structure here. Let me try to clean this up a little bit. It's a little messy. Clean that up, clean that up, clean that up. Price is pushing off this right here. It's pushing off the resistance as well up here. The resistance is kind of weak, so let's see here if it breaks through it. I'm looking for price to push past this area and close past this resistance. I want it to like pretty much blow out of that resistance right there, and then I'll be looking for continuation. There's also a imbalance right here as well. Pretty big imbalance. It's a little too big of an imbalance. Damn, I can't even mark it up. And let's see, where's that imbalance at? From right here to right here. Take that off right there. Looks like price tried to come down. It did come down and retest that imbalance actually. All right, let's see here if it pushes back up from where it's currently at. If I get stopped out of this, it's completely fine. I'll be looking for another opportunity. Price is pushing up right there, so it bounced off the imbalance right here. See, this is the problem when you're trading within, or you're trying to break out of this range because price keeps getting it acts like a magnet, right? This middle area right here acts as a magnet for price to keep pulling down. But I'm looking for it to break out of this area. So here he goes, price pushes back up. The price action here is not super great. So I'll keep following it. There he goes, price pushes up higher. Again, I'm looking for price to push up and grab all the liquidity up here. So the orb is still running. I'm in the position right now. Just having trouble getting past this area. Because it keeps getting pulled back into this lower range. Well, we do have targets up here. So looking at this, we have a bunch of targets up here. See if this here pushes back up. If I get stopped out again, like I said, guys, I'm taking half, well, it's 40 out of 20. So if I do get stopped out of this position, I'll be looking for a re-entry possibly a little later. And then hopefully recoup this one. All right, bouncing off the sessions right there. Let's see. And the price action here is just not very consistent. And it looks like I got stopped out. That's okay. So got stopped out of that position right there. Price almost reached the 30 over here. So it reached the 30 off this high-low break and retest. But like I said, unfortunately right here, price is having trouble holding above the area. And here he goes. It pulls back into the range right down here. So I'll be looking again for price to possibly push back up. But it's, like I said earlier, it's a mess right now because of the choppiness of the market. So unfortunately, this right here hit my stop. If you guys got into the high-low break and retest right here, your stop loss should have gotten moved in profit at the 30. So this one right here hit the 30. Stop loss would have got moved up. Confluences here, everything kind of lined up. So everything that I was looking for lined up properly. We had the imbalance right here as a confluence. Price broke and retest off the imbalance. We had price pushing up for correction. But again, price is just pulling back into this middle range. So that's why it's important that you guys use proper risk with your trades. For me, it's not going to hurt my account too much. It was just a 20-point loss. Again, I'm going to look to try to hop back into any of these entries here if we do have another opportunity. If we do, then I'll be going for that 40 again so I can recoup the loss plus make profit on top of it. Everything here is still pointing towards bullish, right? All of the market structure here is very bullish. It's just price is having trouble getting past this area right here. So, and here we go. His price pulled right back down into this range. So 717 right now. We still got some time. Let's see. Let me just put this over here real quick. Where's my markup? There we go. All right, so a little loss right there. And let's see if we get another opportunity. Again, I'm not looking to trade within this middle area right here. I'll see if price does finally push back up and then continue up higher. But I'm not going to try to get in at any of these lower points. or else you're just going to get caught in that chop and get caught in the traps there. So I'll put the loss over here, of course, so that you guys can see what happened with these here. All right. All right, let's see if we could hopefully get another trade here. I'm hoping to get one more trade in here so I could just recoup this all in one day. If not, then I'll have to probably wait until tomorrow once the inflation data comes out. But here we go, back in this choppy market, back in this middle chop. Siren said Israel just attacked Hamas in Qatar. Okay, let's see. So breaking news right now. It looks like Israel just attacked Hamas. Check over here at BizTalk. Yeah, Sam said, I don't even know what to do with the bias of USA assets when they have revision of high-profile data. Trust lost. Yeah, I know, Sam. It's it's crazy that they had a revision. I mean, the crazy thing is that the revision was worse, right? I mean, it was already bad as is, but it was even worse based off the data. All right, let's get out of this range, guys. Hopefully we get out of this range. If we don't get out of this range, I'm not really looking to take trades right down this middle point. Let me clean up the chart a little bit, take off this imbalance. The imbalance is now it's been invalidated. So for the buys right here, guys, there's nothing wrong with the buy here. So this is what I consider a fair loss, right? I took my loss right there off the orb, but this loss would have lined up with a lot of other entries. So we had the high-low break and retest off this lower high right here. So that would have been a loss for that. I mean, this technically would have been a win if you would have moved your stop loss in profit once you reached the 30. But let's just look back at the analysis here. This is the entry that we look to take. Um, there's nothing here that would have been that I would have done differently because the overall market structure was bullish. The overall trend here was bullish at the time. So the 1 minute was bullish, 5 minute was bullish, 15 minute was bullish, 30 minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour was bullish. Um, And then we also had structure up here, or not structure, we had liquidity sitting up here to be grabbed, right? There was an area here that I was looking for price to push up to grab the liquidity. So with that being said, if you followed your trading plan and you took a loss, it's just part of the game, right? That's trading. If I went against my rules and there was no confluence and there was no bias there, then yeah, that would be a bad loss. But for me, I'm okay with taking losses like this because losses like this are part of the game, right? This is why I trade with a 1 to 2 because I can have losses here and there, but once I have a win or a couple back-to-back wins, it's going to recoup all of those losses and then profit on top. So again, if I'm going to take another entry right here, I'm looking for price to push right back up. The next area for entry is going to be off this higher high. Clean this up. I'll look for price to break past the structure and continue up higher from there. But I'm not looking to take anything here down the middle. This imbalance here is invalidated, so I'm taking that off. There's another imbalance right here, but I'm not going to mark it up. It's just too messy right now. The chart's already messy as is, so I'm going to try to clean this up as much as possible. Yeah, Sam said I was trailing gold. It was up 140. Bad new US news came, and instead of gold going up, it dumped. Seriously weird market. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Sam. The news here was negative. Sam's trading gold. Typically, gold is pegged against the US dollar. So if the US economy is or news comes out and it's bad, gold is supposed to go up. But like Sam said, gold actually went down. So the fundamentals aren't aligning with how they're supposed to be moving. We're still stuck in this chop, guys. So if you look over here, this is the same market chop that we've been stuck in from market open, right? A lot of back and forth. So with that being said, you can see over here that a lot of these directional strategies are not working, right? They're just not working right now because we're in this market chop. Um, at this, for this type of market, obviously the sweeps would probably be your best option if you guys are looking to take sweeps. The thing is, this chop isn't going to last forever, right? We had a lot of chop last week. We had a lot of chop the week before that. I was expecting this week to be more directional. Thing is, the CPI data and PPI data hasn't came out yet, so the inflation data doesn't come out till tomorrow. I'm hoping tomorrow with the inflation data, we're going to have more of a directional market. Whether it's bullish or whether it's bearish. I'm expecting the market to be more directional, meaning price is going to push to the upside consistently, or price is going to push down to the downside consistently. Not what's happening here, right? What's happening here right now is we're getting this, a lot of back and forth. So it's hard to catch trades in either direction. You get stopped out for a sell, you get stopped out for a buy. Like for example, here, if you're trying to chase this in a downwards trend, it's so easy for you to get stopped out, right? If you're trying to chase this down, because at any moment in time, price can just spike up. And these spike ups are not very small, right? These are big spike ups. So from this lower area right here to here, it's like a 50-point spike. Unless you have a really wide stop loss, the odds of you surviving those spikes are very unlikely. So we'll follow through. I mean, in days like this, you just have to weather the storm. Whenever the market's like this, and let's go back to my stats for the year so far. So if you look at my stats for the year, let's go to overall performance. This isn't something new to us. We've been through this before, right? We had a nice upwards trend from January up until April. Then for 2 months, we had a lot of back and forth because the market was choppy from the tariff news. And then we had a nice correction back up right here. And then we're back into a little bit of some chop, right? From August 21st until now. So about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we've had like a lot of back and forth, some wins, some losses, a lot of chop. Um, but we're looking for price here to smoothen out at some point, right? This choppy market is only going to be choppy for an extended period of time. So you can expect the market to chop for maybe a month, maybe 2 months. The thing is, it's been chopping for almost a month now. So I'm looking for this here to start to break out of this area and or not out of this area, but this market structure and start to move directional. Overall, I'm looking at my scanners right now. My scanners are pretty much mixed. And you can see over here as well with my market structure, the 1 minute and 5 minute is now neutral, 15 minutes bearish, 30 minutes neutral, 1 hour is bullish, and 4 hour is bullish here. Looking at the higher time frames, they're still pretty, well, I mean, they were bullish. They're not really bullish anymore, but they were. The 30 minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour, they were bullish at the time, earlier, but now they're starting to shift down. We've talked about this before, guys. This is for me, in my perspective, this is like price is getting baked in. It's getting baked in for tomorrow and the week and for the rest of the week. Because let's see, let me see what the forecast is for the news tomorrow. So the forecast for the news tomorrow is it's forecasted to be positive. So we got PPI, producer price index. It It was last month 0.9%. This month it's forecast to be 0.3, so it's getting better. CPI on Thursday, it was 323 last month. They're forecasting it to be slightly higher, not a lot, but slightly higher. And then Michigan consumer sentiment over here is forecasted to be positive. So, I mean, we'll see. Just because they're forecasted to be positive doesn't mean they're going to be positive, but what I see here is I see price getting baked in, or it's getting baked into the current movement. So right now, I think price here may continue dropping, and then tomorrow when the PPI data comes out, it'll probably push right back up. So if you look at this from a bigger scale, let's go over here to I think the 4 hour time frame is a good time frame to look at for the bigger moves. See how price has been climbing up for a while? It's getting priced down right now. So it's getting priced down. It's going sideways and then pricing down a little bit before it shoots right back up. That's why for my swing trades over here, I'm trying to get in at a lower price point. I was tempted to move my entry a little higher. So right now my entry for S&P or ES is currently at 45.50. I might move it up to 45.75, but if I'm looking at a big drop tomorrow, manipulation to the downside, it may come down, fill my order, and come right back up. Same with the Dow over here. My entry for the swing is at 45,000. I was tempted to move it up closer to 45,250, but I think I'm gonna leave it as is because if price does come down a little bit for news this week, I'm looking for a correction back up at some point. But here we go. We have price kind of dumping down a little lower, guys. If this is the case, this might be a setup over here for a high-low break and retest to the sell side. I would be really careful about taking this to the sell side, though. Yeah, I would be careful to take this for the sell side. Let's see. Ark said, okay, I know you don't keep track, but out of the 30 days with a breakout trade, could one say that we win 75% of them? Lately, it's been 95%, but would you say in a 4-week time span, would we normally win five more than we lose monthly? Yeah, I could say that, Ark. I mean, for the past couple months, it's been pretty on fire. It's been pretty on point with the entry. Um, the I mean, I can't say for the because I haven't really been following it as much before that, but yeah, for the past 2, 3 months, it's probably been closer to like 80 to 85%, maybe even 90, but I that's the only time I've been really looking at it for the most part. So I would say on average, yeah, probably, it probably wins 75% of the time usually. That's why I do a 1-to-1 with it because the win rate's so much higher. All right, so price over here didn't break past the structure, guys. It's just staying within the range here. Again, like I said, this is not the best market for directional entries. So unfortunately, the correction right here did happen back to where we were expecting, but it didn't push past it. So if you guys remember earlier, price was down here, and I mentioned, okay, look for the correction back up to here, right? I was hoping this was going to correct back to this area and then break above and continue up higher because we do have liquidity up here. Unfortunately, price faked out above there and then it came right back down. But yeah, price came up to that area and then it's right back down below. So if you guys want to take the sweeps here, I mean, sweeps here could work. You can see our price came down to this lower low, swept off that area, and now it's pushing right back up. I would take the sweeps here, but like I said, I'm geared on taking directional moves. So like for me here to switch up and just go back to these sweeps, it's gonna mess with my psychology a little bit because it's gonna be a different type of entry and different type of strategy. So for the most part, I'm probably gonna hold off on it for now at least. All right, this imbalance is done with. There is a new support right here. We got two supports right here. I'm gonna clean this one up a little bit. There you go. Take that one off. Let's see this. No, I'll leave that resistance right there. I think it's useful to have that one there. This one, I'm gonna leave that there as well. All right. So we don't really have too much here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Unfortunately, I took a loss for the day so far with my high-low break and retest and late orb entry. Yeah, I mean, either way would have been a loss here because this would have been the orb here as well. So even if I wanted to get into this or not orb, this high-low break and retest, still wouldn't have made it. All right, we got price breaking past this lower low right here. This could be a possible high-low break and retest for a sell. If you guys want to take this, again, take it at your own risk. Um, Not to say that this isn't going to hit, but like I said, it's really hard to take these directional moves right now because of the market conditions. The thing is, a lot of these directional moves were still hitting yesterday, even though we were in a choppy market. But again, right here, let me try to clean this up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, it's based off this lower low right here. This one. So possible high-low break and retest right there. So it's a break and retest off the support level, also break and retest off this lower low. So this would be a high-low break and retest off this specific level right here. So the entry would have filled right there at that moment. I'm not in this position here because my bias isn't very bearish right now. Market structure is a little mixed. Overall trend over here is it's a little mixed as well. It's starting to look bearish though. So it's bearish here on the lower time frames, 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute prices below the pivots. The trend meter is red and the pivots are angling down. Same over here on the higher time frames. It's a little mixed. The 30 minute here is neutral. 1 hour is bearish and the 4 hour here is bullish. Price is coming down. It's a high low break and retest like we talked about. Sam over here got into the sell. Okay, nice work, Sam. So Sam's in here holding this. Hopefully it pushes down, hits your target right there. I'm not in this position right here. There just wasn't enough confluences for me to want to take this here for a high-low break and retest to the downside. The orb over here pretty much got screwed both ways. There's another orb here that came up for a sell, a later orb. This one actually played through. Nice confluence right there too. So confluence from an orb to the downside. This is still running. This so the thing with this here is that there's an orb and there's also an imbalance lined up with it. So we got the orb rejection and the imbalance right here. It's almost on its way to target. And this would have been a nice entry. Oh, look at this huge green candle right here, guys. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is why I decided not, this is why I said I'm not, that's crazy right there. Look at that huge, huge candle. Damn. Hopefully, oh yeah, it looks like Sam got out. So Sam got out right there, booked 75%, and then he trailed it. Good thing he got out because that right there is what I was trying to avoid, right? This is why I didn't want to take the sell because I knew something like this was going to happen. It's exactly what happened up here. We got faked out, right? Fake out. That's why this is why I'm saying, guys, it doesn't matter which direction you guys are trading. This is not a very directional market. Right here, I got faked out on the top and it came right back down right here, faked out again on the bottom. But you would have booked profit on this though. So if you were to take this trade, this already hit 30 points. So once it hit 30 points right there, you would have booked it, like you would have moved your stop loss in profit. And that's what Sam did. So Sam over here, he booked it at 75. And then yeah, his trailing grabbed a nice chunk of it. So nice work on that right there, Sam. But yeah, here's another clear example of like why I don't screw with these. Like I really don't think this is a good market to be taking risky trades because of this randomness, right? This candle is huge. Look at this. These candles are moving pretty decent to the downside. And this candle was a 60-point candle right there. So like we talked about, it doesn't matter which direction you're trading, guys. You know, I wouldn't think any direction would be wrong because you could be taking buys here and you get stopped out. You could be taking sells here, you still get stopped out. The best option here would really be to take sweeps. But if you're going to take these sweeps, you got to take them with proper risk because even the sweeps probably get spiked out because these candles are so big. You know, unless your stop loss is super, super wide, like for example over here, if your stop loss was 50 points, yeah, you'd survive it, of course. Right? If you're going for 50/50s right there, you'd survive it. But thing is, we don't use wide stop losses. We have tight stop losses. So there goes another example of like why you should be careful with these entries here. Nice. So CJ over here caught the market flow V2 to make up for the orb loss. Nice work, CJ. So CJ over here actually caught the bounce. Caught that bounce right there, right? And there we go. This price pulls right back into the range. So everything we just talked about, like I said, this middle range is acting as a it's acting as a magnet, right? So everything just here it's got magnetized. So everything that happens outside the range here, like the lower area and the upper area, it just gets pulled right back down, right? Price pulls below, pulls back into the range. Price pulls up, pulls back into the range. Price pulls down, back into the range, etc. let's see. I mean, obviously my swing trades here haven't gotten filled yet, but like I said, I'm looking for price to dump a little lower. I'll probably make some adjustments by tomorrow because tomorrow is Wednesday. It's my last day to get into these swings. So I'll be looking for possible opportunities over here. If this thing dumps any lower, maybe I'll get in right here at the 250. So these are my swing prices for my swing trades, guys. I'm looking to get in at 45,000 for YM. For NASDAQ, I'm trying to get in right here at 23,250. If anything, tomorrow I might move it up a little bit to 23,500. And then same with my S&P over here. So my ES over here, I'm trying to get in at 64.50. But again, if price doesn't come down this far, I might get in right here at 64.75 or at some sort of discount. But those are my swing trades. Um, yeah, if there's any questions, guys, feel free to hop into the chat. This is a good time to ask questions because this is a pretty tricky market to be trading in. I'm sitting out for the most of it until I have something good here. I mean, obviously, I don't have anything good here to look at or to take, but there's a possible high-low break and retest setting up. Actually, I take that back. The higher high got pushed up higher. I'm going to clean this up a little bit down here. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so let me just break it down for you guys again real quick. I know there's a lot of new people here. Here's the thing. The market's going to move in three different phases, right? It's either going to move directional to the downside, it's going to move directional to the upside, or it's going to go sideways and be very choppy like it is right now. This is currently the market we're in right now. We're in this big choppy market right now. When you're in a choppy market like this, the best strategies to apply are going to be the sweeps. The thing is, the market's not going to be like this forever, right? We've been in this type of market for the past, I would say maybe 2, 3 weeks, maybe a month now. So that's why I'm anticipating a directional move to happen, whether it's a downside move or an upside move. Thing is, you just got to time it properly. Like right now, I'm trying to time it, but the thing is, when it looks like price is going to move directional, it just ends up going back into this chop, right? The chop is the worst type of market to trade in because if you're trading in a chop, you can really get stopped out either way. And today was a prime example of that, right? We took a buy right here. The buy looked like it was a good one and it was going to recover back up, but I got stopped out. It happens. Same with this right here. If you were chasing the sell, you could have easily gotten stopped out right here as well. This is why it's important that you guys are using those trailing stops to protect your position. I was really tempted to pull out of this once price kind of pushed up a little bit. So let me see. It just didn't push it far enough for me to move my stop loss in profit. So right here at this higher high, yeah, we didn't have enough space here. Price pushed up about 15 points. So it wasn't enough for me to move my stop up to like 10 or anything like that because it didn't reach the 30 yet. Let's see. Sam said 45.2 or 45.628 is his break and retest as none seems to be giving shit to structure at the moment. Yeah, price isn't respecting structure here at all. It's just going back and forth. Let's go on the higher time frames real quick. So these higher time frames will give you guys a better insight as to like where market's actually going. So here's a 1 hour time frame. See this chop? This market's been in chop since Monday. So look at this chop over here. Just back and forth, back and forth. See how price hasn't really gone anywhere? This is what we've been dealing with for the past couple of weeks. This is for this whole week. It's back and forth right there. And then same with this over here. This is how it was moving prior. It's just been a choppy market for the past couple of weeks. You can see over here in the past, it's been very directional, very directional, very directional. But this week has just been, I'll just draw a box right here. It's just been chopping down the middle, which is okay. You know, you go through phases like this where the market's just not really going in your favor, and eventually it'll balance out. So let's go ahead and take a look at my stats again for like the year. So let's see. I'll show you here like so August was actually pretty decent. I didn't take a lot of trades, but I did have a lot of back-to-back wins. And this is what I'm expecting, right? So like right now I have a couple losses. I have a loss today on the 9th, and I had a loss right here on Wednesday, small win on Tuesday. If I have another couple wins here for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like one or two wins, I'm going to be heavy in the profit. So that's why for me, I'm just kind of treading water right now, trying to bounce back from these losses, but also not taking anything too risky. Only if the entries do fall in line with my analysis and my bias and confluence. Let's see. CJ said, "Hey Sean, what's your TP stop loss on your swing trades?" So I don't. I have like a. It's just a safety net stop loss, but it's not like a hard stop loss. My stop loss is around 500 points. It's pretty wide because obviously it's a swing trade. So I just have it there just in case, but I'm holding it until like Friday. So I don't really have a target either. I hold it until Friday. My target's gonna be around 500, but I'm hoping to get closer to like 700 or 750 actually. So see if I get filled right here and price pushes up to here, I'll make 250 and then I'll make 500. If it pushes back up to where this high is, then I'll make 750. That's why you can see my stop is right here, right? Because my entry is right here, my stop is right here, about 500 points. But I'm aiming for it to, if it reaches up here, great, I'll make 500 on that. But if it goes up higher to like where this high point is, I can get up to 750. So I'm using around a fixed a fixed target. The fixed targets are going to be around like whole numbers anyways, so it's not really a fixed number. It's more so like a psychological number. So here's actually a better view. So my entry right here is at 45,000 and the 500 move would be right here. So if I get in down here and it corrects back up to here where it was prior, you know, I pretty much book 500 on there. If I make it up to here, whereas this higher point, I get up to 750 points. So it's a swing trade. I'm holding it for like a couple days, if not into the weekend. All right, we're having a correction back up right here, guys. Again, this huge back and forth chop right here, and it is pushing up as we speak. There's no high-low break and retest right here. Price broke past the higher high. There was never a retest. The price never came back to retest it. And here we are. We're just back in this upper range. Let's go back to the orb. The orb is actually easier to see the range. So again, right here, see how price broke past it? Faked out, pulled right back into the range. And what a messy market today. I was really hoping that it was going to continue up and just break through and continue climbing, but definitely not happening here. See, every time price gets outside the range, let me just clean this up a little bit. Fake out, two fake outs right there, big fake out right there, and another fake out right there. Let's see. Daniel said, "Hi, Sean. There is an bearish imbalance on the 30-minute chart and bullish imbalance on the 3-hour chart." Okay, good to know, Daniel. Thanks for the heads up on that. Yeah. So looking at that, you know, like what you mentioned, that just goes to show that there's imbalances on both sides, and it's you know, it just shows that there's no direction. Because it would be nice if there was like, say for example, there was just you know, if there was only bullish imbalances. So like if we only had, and I know there's no bullish imbalances here, but we'll say use this as an example. Like if we had a bullish imbalance like right here, and then a bullish imbalance like right here, then okay, great, right? Because then we can keep climbing that up, break and retest, break and retest. But because there's imbalances on both ends, like say for example, there's a bearish imbalance or bullish imbalance right there, and then a bearish imbalance right here it doesn't really work with the analysis, right? Because it's again just going to pull back into the range. So yeah, thanks Daniel for the heads up on that. Good to know. Good to know that, with your analysis, you're also seeing the chop and I'm seeing the chop. It just shows that, I mean, this is hard to argue, right? Like, I don't think anybody could argue that we're not in a choppy market right now. So see how this is not going anywhere? It's the same with like yesterday, right? This was yesterday's market. Same thing, right? Fake out outside the range, fake out outside the range, pretty much choppy until the end of the day, until the next day happened. It's just the type of market that we're in right now. Let's go over here to Friday as well. See, so Friday, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for price to maybe chop for a little bit and then break out of it. This is what I was expecting today. So I was like, okay, we're getting a chop back and forth, and then we're gonna get a chop, a breakout to the upside. Wasn't the case here. Price ended up going back and forth. And this is just historical data, right? We'll go to Thursday as well. So Thursday from last week. See, like this right here, even this would have been okay. Get a little bit of some break, some chop, and then continuation. But no, we're not getting that today. Here's Wednesday from last week. A lot of chop. So you can see there's like maybe not every day has been super, super choppy, but there's been a lot of days that they've been pretty choppy for the most part. So right here, even this right here, right? This would have been okay. This is what I was expecting for today. So initially price dropped to the bottom. So we had the fake out and I was expecting this to happen, correction to the upside and then drop. This is opposite, of course, but this is what I was expecting for today. I was looking for this to fake out right here, break above, and then just continue pushing up higher. But unfortunately, we're just getting a lot of this back and forth right here. Back and forth, back and forth. Let's see, Sam said 500 points, you said, Sean? Yes, 500 points, which is equivalent to 500 pips for you because you're trading Forex, right? So 500 points, 5,000 pips. So it's a pretty big swing trade. It's a pretty big swing trade. Let's go over here to US 30. So this is where I'm trying to get in from. I'm trying to get in at 45,000. And then I'm trying to get out at okay, so yeah, this is where I'm trying to get in from. I'm trying to get in for a discount right here and then write it back up, right, to fill this gap or whatever for price to come right back up. So that's my entry right there. I'm trying to get out right here, or it doesn't have to be right here. If I go for a 1-to-1, like say for example, by Friday it doesn't actually push that far, then I'll try to get in at 500, get out at 500. That's fair, right? And then my safety net's down here. Thing is, this is a big range. So ideally, that's kind of where I'm trying to get in and out from. If that's the case and I can't get in from there, then my next entry point, this is going to be my main entry point right now. See how this price came down to this level? This is my discount level. So I'm looking for price to come down, retest this area and come right back up. The next discount area for me is going to be right here. So if I don't get filled right here by tomorrow, then I'll probably move my target a little higher or my entry a little higher right here. Because see how we have two discount points. We had a discount point right here, and we also have a discount right here. So either way, I'm looking to get filled and climb back up, or vice versa right here, trying to get filled right here. My target might have to be a little smaller though. 750 is kind of far out. This could be at new all-time high zones. So I might have to get out like right here at the 500. Right? Because I'm trying to fill this area right there. So yeah, these are my swing trades, guys. Or for the most part, it's where I'm trying to get in and get out from. These discount points, but I don't know if it'll fill because the volatility is not very heavy, right? I'm hoping market comes down super heavy so I can get in right here, but if it doesn't come down that far, then I'm gonna get in right here at 250. All right, guys. Again, not too much going on here. Unfortunately, we're still stuck within this range. A lot of back and forth here. So I'm okay with my trade for today, guys. Like I said, if you're taking a trade and you're losing it, but you're following your trading plan, consider that a fair loss, right? It's just the market. You can't win every single trade. So it's okay to take a trade and lose if you're following your trading plan. But if you're not following your trading plan and you're losing, then that's not a good trade because then you could have easily avoided the loss. But that is that's kind of where I'm at right now. Let's see. Rashida's asking if I would take this high low. She asked at 7:45. Let me check. Um, so I don't see it right now, Rashida. Let me see. You asked at 7:45. I'm gonna replay it just to see what you were referring to. You said a high low, right? So your question was at 7:45. Oh yes, you were talking about this higher high right here, right? Or this one. Yeah, I think this is when you were talking about. Um, so I mean, it would have never filled because for me personally, I wouldn't have taken it because the candle's so big. So, like whenever the candle is big like that, let's measure real quick. This was a 67 point candle. Whenever the candle's super big like that, you'll typically get a retracement to like the halfway, the 50% mark, right? And it might push back up, or if it doesn't push back up, it'll do a full-on reversal. So, I mean, that's kind of one of the things that I'd be looking at. Because the candle is too big, I would have skipped it. Also, we got a bunch of sessions right here, London high and then New York high. So those are a couple of things that I personally would have skipped out on this specific higher high right there. I mean, it looks like price came down and retested eventually. For my strategy though, I typically look for the retest on the immediate candle. But it looks like it did exactly what I just mentioned, right? So this candle here was so big that it came down and retested the 50% of it. So price came back, retested 50% right here, the middle of the candle, and then it pushed right back up. So either way, this wouldn't have failed for me. There's another entry right here that's setting up, guys. If you guys are looking to take this here as a high-low break and retest. So we got this higher high right there. Price broke it, but no close. So what you'd be looking for here is you're looking for price to actually break and close past the area, retest it, and push up higher. I think I'm done looking for entries for today, guys. It's 7:56 right now. The volatility is starting to die out a little bit, and we're still within this range. So I think I'd be really careful about taking any directional moves right now. If you guys want to take them, feel free. If they fit your analysis, of course, take whatever entry fits your analysis. But right here, look at these fake outs. So fake out right here, fake out right here, fake out right there. So if you just look at the range for today, it's a bunch of fake outs, and it just keeps getting pulled back into this middle range down the middle. So, I mean, if you guys want to take sweeps, again, the sweeps are probably going to be your best option. I mean, you could have gotten away with a couple of sweeps here, it looks like. Yeah, these upper areas looks like they could have been pretty good sweeps as long as your stop loss is wide enough. See, I think a 20-point stop loss might be cutting it a little too close or not. So, sweep right there would have been solid. Sweep right there as well. I mean, yeah, it looks like the sweeps off these orb highs and these orb lows are probably going to be pretty solid overall. Another sweep right there. So we currently got a sweep running to the downside as we speak. The buy sweeps, though, I don't know if these here would have. Yeah, you probably would have gotten stopped out on these buy sweeps because the stop loss is just too tight. Like barely stopped out right there. Again, right here. Yeah, I mean, if you were to do if you were to do the numbers here, you'd still make profit because over here it's 20-point losses and these would be 20, 40-point wins. So you make 80 points here, lose a 40, you'd still be at 40 points. Technically one win if you took all the sweeps. Let's see. Alad said, Sean, I know you covered sweeps yesterday. Can you show examples of a sweep on the graph today? Yeah, same thing right here. So that's pretty much exactly what I looked at. The sweeps would have been at the structure. So the lower, basically where the liquidity is sitting on the bottom and the top. So again, right here, same thing. So see how we have structure down here? So we have a support level and we have these lower lows. This is where the sweeps would have happened. Not all the sweeps would have been good. So like these over here, this obviously would have been a loss. This one here would have won. I think the sweeps from the top were actually better. So right here we have a resistance and see how we have a higher high right here where the liquidity was sitting. This right here is a sweep because it came to that liquidity. And then your risk parameters would just depend on you. Like everyone does it differently. Sometimes they base it off the ATR, so you could do 25-25. If you want to do for a 1 to 2, like I mentioned, you can still do a 40-20. So everybody's a little different. Some people want to go for a 1 to 1. If you follow Sam in the chat, he uh he likes to do like a 15-20, so like a close to 1 to 1. Sometimes he bases off the ATR, so like a 1 to 1 flat. Um, there's different types of parameters you can use. Not the thing is like once you apply the sweep, you'll understand because you'll see if you like to do the 1 to 2s or you'll see if you like doing the 1 to 1s. For me personally, I think the 1 to 1s are a little safer because you get out quicker, but the 1 to 2s obviously you get a bigger risk reward and it's a lot. You feel a little more balanced with your losses, your risk of losing and your risk of winning. So again, right here, a lot, this is another example. See how this higher high had a liquidity right there? It was also at a resistance point. So you have two confluences right there for a sweep. And again, same thing. Sweep would be right here. So those are examples of sweeps. CJ said the market is even choppy on the daily chart. Yeah, let's check the daily chart real quick. And yeah, CJ said he thought my stop loss would be for 1,000 points. Yeah, the thing is, I still want to get out on Friday, so that's why for me, CJ, I'm still like my targets are not super wide. The thing is, I can hold a position over the weekend, so I might, in some instances, yeah, maybe I'll do 1,000, and I'll just hold it over the weekend. The thing is, if it's at 1,000, that thing's gonna take forever to hit, right? It's gonna take weeks, more than weeks. It'll probably take months, like because volatility is not that high. But if you look over here, so here's a daily chart that CJ just mentioned. It's just been consolidating for like how many days now, right? We'll go from here to here. Like this specific cycle has been consolidating for 18 days, 19 days actually. So 19 days of no movement on the daily chart. And then before that, we had another consolidation phase right here for 8 days. So you guys can see this market is not very directional. We've been going sideways for a pretty long time. We were going sideways for 8 days, then it kind of went up for a little bit, and then it went sideways for 19 days. So, when a lot of people are talking about the orb not working, it's not just the orb, it's any directional strategy, right? This is why for me, I've been very patient with my entries because the thing is it's not really moving at all. If you go back over here, look, like we have days like this where price just limits up for days straight. Like this was super bullish. I think this is where I made a lot of my profit during this period. It's a 10-day period, all buys straight to the upside. So you can see over here from May, this is when the tariff news came out. A lot of sideways. Like this was sideways for almost 42 days. So just, stuff to keep in mind, guys. Keep an open mind with the markets. Just because your specific strategy isn't working right now. And this is why a lot of people fail at trading, right? Because they keep strategy hopping. I think that's the people who are usually the loudest and talk about how strategies aren't working are the people who are just failing all the time because, like, for example, I'm sticking to the orb because I know the orb works. It's just you have to use it during proper market conditions. So if you look at my stats for the year, the orb worked pretty good in the beginning. January up until April, and then obviously it stopped working for a little bit because of the tariff news. We had a sideways market, and it started working again here from June up until basically a couple weeks ago, and now it's kind of going sideways. So I've been doing this long enough to understand that, when you have a trading plan or you have something that you follow, just stick to it, guys. Don't change it right away. If the strategy sucks for a whole year, then okay, change it up. But if it's only sucking for a couple weeks or a couple months, eventually it's going to come back. It's just a matter of time until it does. But you can see over here again, guys, just showing you as an example here, there's nothing going on. So for you to take directional entries in this type of market is very, very tricky. But all right, guys, it's 8:03. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, I'm gonna wrap this up pretty soon. Let's see. Sam said, "Did you get filled once recently, Sean?" Not since the orb earlier. So I took the orb over here for the buy. That's the only time I got filled. It was earlier on like 7-11. But unfortunately, this thing turned on me, so I took the loss on that trade. So, all right, guys, if you guys are just joining in or if you guys were here for a while, didn't see what entries came up, we had the momentum breakout hit full TP here for 50 points. Luckily, it went right away on open. We had no directional entries here that came up, which I took. And then we had a late orb over here, which lined up with the high-low break and retest, which I did take. And unfortunately, I took a loss. So I'm taking one loss for the day, which is completely fine. That was my first trade for this week. We still have a whole week ahead of us, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have PPI data tomorrow, which is producer price index. Hopefully the volatility is going to push price in a direction for our session tomorrow. And then Thursday we have CPI. This is for sure going to push price around. PPI is usually not as strong, but CPI is very strong. And then Michigan consumer sentiment is a continuation of what happens on Thursday. So just stuff to look at to look for there. Let's see. Sam said, "Did you get filled once recently, Sean?" So no, I haven't gotten filled this week, and I got filled last week, but it was an accident. I was just testing out the numbers because I just bought the FTMO account, but I haven't gotten filled yet because I tried to get in over here. Like so for last week, I got in right here a little too early, and my stop loss was wrong. So I got in right here at 250 and I was supposed to have my stop loss down here at 750. I accidentally put 500 or 45,000 because I'm an idiot. So I had it too tight and it stopped me out right here before it pushed all the way up. So like the thing is if I would have held on to this position from here on the second, I would have made 500 points because my this is supposed to be my swing, right? But unfortunately, right here at I was an idiot and I didn't know how to use MT5 because it's been so long. I put the wrong number in and I got out right there. I actually accidentally got stopped out. So yes, I got a fill last week on the second, but unfortunately, like I said, my stop was in the wrong place. So. All right, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, let's see. A question from Ben. Ben is asking, are you only using your FTMO account for your swing trades? Yes, Ben. I'm only using it for my swing trades because we can't add it to our copier. Unfortunately, they use MC5 and there's no cross-platform copier function. So I can't take the scalps on those on the FTMO. I'm just taking swing trades. And the thing is with the swing trades on FTMO, I don't know if you have the same rule for you, Sam, but all of the USA accounts, they're all on swing settings. So I can hold into news and I can hold into the weekend. So like they're pretty much swing accounts for the most part. You can hold for as long as you want. Like I could hold, like for example, I could dollar cost average in for US 30 or YM. Like I could buy right here and I can buy right here and I can buy right here and I can just hold on to it for it to come back up. Like I could be in a losing streak and then I'll just hold on to it. When it comes right back up, I'll make a killing as long as I don't hit my daily loss limit. So that's where it becomes a problem because the daily loss limit is for me is 10,000. So each trade over here, so for example, if I get in at this where I have my setup, my risk is only 2,000. So this right here, if I ever hit my stop loss, my risk is only 2,000 and I'm entering on three different positions, right? So even if I was to go into the negative from those areas, I would still be like I would still have a lot of cushion because I'd only be down 6,000. I could lose 10,000 before I have to pull out. So I can still dollar cost average in into a couple of these assets. and basically just hold on to it until it comes back in profit, which is pretty nice. All right, guys. So I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Unfortunately, I ate a loss today with the orb. I took a late orb here that lined up with the analysis was just everything lined up perfectly for it. So I wanted to take it. And unfortunately, I took a loss on that trade. But it's okay. We have a whole week ahead of us. So hopefully I'll get a win tomorrow, maybe 2 wins tomorrow or this week. And I'll recoup that one loss for the day and then be back in a profit for the week. So. All right, guys. I guess that's it. If you guys have any questions, hit me up on